Hello, and we are live. Oh, it came up right away. So, hello everyone. If you're watching the replay, we're going to probably just get started in just a couple of seconds as we wait for people to join and the live gets started. But whether you are just joining us or watching the replay, please introduce yourself in the comments. Let me know your name, where you're from, how long you've been doing makeup, or anything you want to share. Hello, Catherine. Oh, thank you, Ellie. Okay, so I am going live. Hello, Quirky. Hello, Alyssa. Everyone let me know if I sound okay, if you hear me okay, or if anything is like lagging or if there's any static. It is raining in California, and Greg is getting a warning flash on his car. Hello from London. Hello, Melissa. Oh my gosh, it is in the middle of the night for you. So good evening. But I want to make sure that we sound okay. We are going live through, hey, Katie Beth, we're going live through Greg's computer and not a phone, but I'm watching the chat on the phone. Oh, hello, Jordan. I missed Dark Harbor too.
Ellie says love the hair color.
I'm seeing them. And thank you, Ellie.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Hey, Jeff. Thank you for telling me that we sound good. Glasgow. Okay, there's a couple of you from the UK. I am impressed that you guys are all awake. Isn't it like 1 or 2 in the morning by you? I've been doing makeup since I was 15, but only to myself. Do you think you'll ever do makeup on other people? Hello, Alex. Brazil. Oh, I love this. Everything sounds good. Awesome. Okay, so I will say a couple of things. I'm going to try to keep up with the questions on the chat. If I don't see a question and you have it, feel free to re-ask it again. Like, don't worry, I'm not going to get annoyed. I want to be able to make sure that you're getting questions answered. That's the whole point of going live, is to be able to really connect with you. So feel free to ask away. It's 1 o'clock in London. All right. So not so bad. Hello, Mel from Dark Harbor. Oh my God, I love all these Dark Harbor friends. So today's training is really important. I actually haven't done this training yet at all in a very long time. I used to teach it over and over again in another career, but I haven't done this for my students or anyone, so you're going to get it firsthand. And if you are a student inside M3, I'm going to write this down for you so you guys can have it at all times, because we're going to go through the principles of technique. And the way that I was taught it as the tenets of technique. So I'm probably going to just easily refer to that so it's easier to understand. I talk too fast. I'm sorry. I will try not to talk too quickly. I know I'm from New York and I have that habit. I don't even realize that I'm talking fast. So I apologize. But if you need me to repeat something, please tell me to repeat it. So we're going to go over the tenets of technique, and there are 10 of them. And so I want you to grab pen and paper, because you're going to want to write all of these down and you're going to want to memorize them, because these tenets of technique are going to help you every single time you do someone else's makeup. And it'll even help you do your own makeup, because you're going to think about specific things that's going to have you create a clean look, a very customized look that is specific to your needs and your concerns and your coloring. This isn't nothing about trends. There's nothing about trends here. This is solely about makeup for you. I don't really teach trends normally. I teach more of the classic techniques that you can use over and over again. And then I think trends, a lot of the trends are just renamed techniques that have been around forever. And then there's some, social media trends that are just, I don't really understand why people do them. Okay, I see people are joining. Excellent. Help me in 54. How do I get a dewy look? So dewy look and foundation, we're not going to necessarily talk about today. That's about tomorrow's training. So tomorrow we're going to be live. Instead of at 5 p.m., we're going to be live tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific time here on Instagram. And we're going to talk about the different skin types and skin tones and different products. So definitely make sure you tune in tomorrow too. Thank you. I really like this makeup also. So quick introduction. If you don't know me, my name is Donna. I've been a professional makeup artist for over 16 years, though I think now I have to start saying 17 because I've been saying 16 for the last year and a half, and now it's a new year. I primarily do production, and I have an online business where I teach makeup online. Most recently, we just launched a membership program called the Makeup and Marketing Mentorship. And this is very near and dear to my heart. Our website is finally finished. It is pinned into the comments, so you can go visit it. You can enroll. I would be your mentor. You get classes and trainings every month on artistry, on business. You get a social media action plan, a portfolio assignment, all the good things that you need to soar in your career. And in March, we're going to be hosting an Artistry Accelerator Bootcamp that's 5 days that will be sold separately. But when you join M3 today, you're going to get that included in your membership. And it's the same price as a 1-month membership. So it totally is worth it. And in addition, if you actually join today, we have a live Q&A on Sunday for the M3 members. So if you join today, you'll be a part of that as well. You can immediately jump into stuff. There's lots to say. Okay. Let me just... Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Can I do it in my own time? Yes, you can do everything in your own time. I'm assuming you're talking about one of my programs. And yes, most of the trainings are pre-recorded because we have students from all over the world. We have students in America. We have students in Belgium. We have students in the Netherlands. And then even in my other programs, I have students in Australia, Philippines, etc. So everything is pre-recorded for you to do on your own time. And then I'm an email away where you can just email me and ask questions. And inside M3, we have a private Facebook group that's only for the members that I check first thing, pretty much the start of almost all of my days. And that's where I spend most of the time. So if you have specific questions, that's what it's there for as well. Alrighty. So if I look down, I apologize. I will try to look up as much as possible, but because I am looking at the phone here, maybe I can kind of put it up here so I can see the questions. Yes, Catherine, you can do it. Yes, the program. You can do it all on your own. There's pre-recorded courses. There's only one live class a month, and that's the live Q&A on Zoom. And I'm doing it. I try to do them at 10 a.m. so I can get as much of the world as possible because I know time differences are a thing. So like our Q&A this Sunday is at 10 a.m. Pacific, which I think is 6 or 8 p.m. in Europe. And it's a Sunday, so then people in America can also join. But every month, I'm going to rotate the days to kind of get to everyone's schedule as I can. That's another thing. All right. Okay, the camera is not staying up, so we're just gonna, I guess I can put it here. Okay, give me one moment. I'm gonna do this last thing, and then I will be ready to go. Oh! I am not tech savvy. Okay, here we go. Okay, good, I can see it. Hollerations. All right, guys, thank you so much for your patience. I see you're, okay. All right, so let's start. Get your pen and paper ready. We're gonna start with number 1, and there's 10 of them. I want you to write them all down. And I want you to memorize them. What? Oh. And I want you to memorize them. I don't expect you to memorize them today, but this is something that you're going to revisit over and over and over again. So the first tenet of technique is elevate and empower. And so the thought of this is that you're going to elevate your client. You're going to empower your client with everything that you're doing, and you want them to feel comfortable and confident with you. So something that I always tell my students to do, and something that I do with all of my clients, even if I'm not teaching them, I will tell them the products I'm using and why it benefits. It's okay. And I'm sorry, I'll tell my clients what I'm doing and why it benefits them so they feel even more confident that I'm the best artist for them. So they feel comfortable in the chair. So I want you to do the same thing. Now, you might not always have time for this. Obviously, if you're on set and you're on the go, you're not going to have time to sit there and tell them everything from the start. But if you have if you do have a down moment and you know your actress or your bride is like, I don't really know what foundation to use or why I should use it. What are you using? You can tell them. Yes, Sils, memorization, or you can take it with you. So like I have this card. This is from Makeup Forever when I work there. I used to be a trainer for them. So that's where I learned this. And I want to teach it to you because no other schools really break it down this way. And it's so helpful if you're ever confused on to what to do with your client. Like what kind of makeup to do. This will tell you. This will help you figure it all out. So again, number 1 is elevate and empower. You want your clients to feel that you are the best person for them. And if you're teaching, let's say you do one-on-one classes or lessons, you want to teach and empower them that they can do it on their own. You want them to feel like they hit the jackpot that you're doing their makeup. And you're going to do that by showcasing that you're the expert and showing them that you're picking the products that's best for them. And if you're just joining, you can ask questions along the way. I'm definitely a talker, so don't be shy. No questions are popping up, right? I'm not seeing anything. Okay, cool. All right, number 2. hygienic application. Now, I don't believe that this needs to be always said. I feel like it's common sense, but you'd be surprised that it is not entirely common sense. And so when we talk about hygienic application, we're meaning all of the sanitized products, right? And if you were joining me on, today's Friday, on Wednesday, we did hello, Brittany. We did a training on sanitation stuff in your pro kit and what you needed to have and what would be nice to have. And we talked a lot about sanitation tools. And when you join M3, one of the first lessons that I want you to watch is on sanitation, because being hygienic is so important and it is your reputation, and so many people miss it. And I don't want you to miss it. I want you to be a part of it. So you're going to have a clean makeup station, and you're going to organize your station in a way that makes sense. So if you're someone who does skincare, well, you have to do skincare first. Let's say you've already done your skincare, but let's say you do complexion first and then eyes. You're going to set up your station where here's your complexion, and then you're going to set up your eye makeup, your lipstick, and do it in order so everything stays nice and neat and organized. You want this if there's a behind the scene photographer. You want this if you're, say you're on set, behind the scene photographer. If you're doing wedding makeup, there's going to be a photographer there. So you want everything to always look nice and organized, because that's your reputation. And it makes your clients feel more comfortable and shows that you are the professional and the expert. People are still not sanitizing. It's true, I know. Oh my God, it's so important, and I don't understand why people don't do it. And you want to have a neat station. Plus, it makes your job easier. If you set your station up like that, you know what to do. You don't have to scramble or worry or get stressed out or anything like that. And then when you're actually doing the makeup and you have brushes, something that I do teach my students at all times, and it is one of my favorite things, is we call it 2 brushes and a tissue. So you're going to apply the makeup with one brush, put it on as is, and then you're going to take another brush that's clean with no product to do your blending. And this is how you get clean makeup application. So even if you're doing your own makeup and you feel like, oh my God, I always get this mess of a blend, it never looks nice and neat, apply with one brush and blend with a clean brush. You don't want to blend with a brush that has product on it, because if you blend with a brush that has product on it, you're adding more product and you're going to make a mess. It's all of a sudden going to get too big. You're going to get a lot more fallout, and it'll be a little bit harder to manage. Oh, thank you, Brittany. I like it too. I really like what I did today too. Exactly. So Gloss Boss J says it's so important you work much faster and efficiently. And those of you who don't know, Gloss Boss J is a global educator for YSL. So you should follow him for all the fancy things and great education on YSL and more. He's a wonderful makeup artist. Okay, so we talked about hygienic. We talked about 2 brushes and a tissue. Oh, the tissue is there too. If you are, here, let me demonstrate. Let's say you pick up a lot of eyeshadow, and you get fallout. That can happen because there's a lot of shadow. So before you put it to the eye, you're going to press onto a tissue so the fallout goes here. And what's good about this too is that if you need to pick up more product, you can sometimes just work right off of that tissue. I don't always do that. I use the tissue mainly to just dab off any excess and go in. And then I use the tissue, of course, to clean the brushes in between. If you got too much product, you're always going to get fallout and you're going to get messy makeups. And we don't want any messy makeups, especially as a pro. You don't want to do something and have all this fallout and your client looks in the mirror and they're like, what's going on here? No. That's how you get clean looks, without tape and without powder. Okay, so you set up your station. So you empower your client. You're telling them what you're going to do. You're going to talk about the look that you're doing. Then you're going to go into your setup. Everything is nice and neat. And now number 3 is deliberate analysis. So write that down. Deliberate analysis. I'm going to take a sip of water in the meantime. So deliberate analysis. And this is, you might do this with your client. You might do it with yourself, but with just yourself if your client is like, I have no idea. But the deliberate analysis is you're going to pick the techniques that you're going to do on your client based on their bone structure. So, and this is something that, like, let's say you have a client who has severely hooded eyes and they're like, well, I love a winged eyeliner look. And you know in your heart that a winged eyeliner look is not going to be the best look for them. It's not going to be the most flattering. So your job as the expert is to tell them that, and then tell them what could be a better example or a better technique that will get them a similar result. So, for example, if they don't want to do a winged eyeliner, you might do like a cat eye technique, which is filling up the whole eye and doing more of a wing on the outer corner, like the outer V, without doing a wing like I have here. different techniques can always work. Now, if people are saying they want a winged eyeliner technique, they like it because it's sexy, it's sultry. So then you know, okay, well, they want to look sexy and sultry. What other eyeshadow techniques can I do? And in March, when we do our artistry boot camp, we're going to talk all about the different types of eyeshadow techniques out there and what eye shape it's best for. And we're going to do some demos as well. In my memberships and in my boot camps, we're severely hands-on. We talk about a lot of different things. I want to see your work, be able to give you constructive feedback, and we can go from there. Even if you've already learned some eyeshadows, this is going to be top notch for you. So we're going to do it. All right. So a little bit more on deliberate analysis. When it talks about bone structure, you're going to think about what kind of contouring you're going to do, what kind of blush you're going to do. It's going to be very focused on your client. And this is how you get a customized look. I don't want you to contour the same way you contour on everyone. That doesn't make sense. If they have, really angular bone structure, you're not going to enhance that angularness because you don't need to. It's already popping out. So you might have to do something a little bit softer to make their features a little softer. And that's why you're most likely going to talk with your client to see what their end goals are. You want to make sure that you're always providing to them. Even if you do have a client who is insisting they have a winged eyeliner, even if you think their eye doesn't have it or won't look good with it, I want you to do it anyways. Because at the end of the day, your client is hiring you. They're paying you money. So you have to do what they want. Same thing if you're on set with a director. If they're saying, hey, I want this look, you have to do it. Even if you don't think it's the best because it's not your vision. You're getting hired to do the work based on your expertise. And then it's up to you to know how to manipulate techniques to make sure that it's going to benefit that client's eye shape, facial structure, all that jazz. And that's why M3 is an ongoing program. It's not just a one-off thing because it is a mentorship. You have to practice all of these different things. Just because you can do a smoky eye that looks great on someone else doesn't mean you're going to be able to replicate that on another eye shape. So you have to learn the bone structure to really figure out what is going to be good for that person and how do you manipulate it to work on everyone. And that's what people do during Fashion Week. Fashion Week, you have models of all different facial structure and you get one look. And you have to make that look work on everyone and know what to do to fix it to make it work on that person so your key artist doesn't get angry with you. So we're going to talk about that. And actually, the artistry class that is going to be in M3 in March is all about bone structure and contouring. And your portfolio assignment is going to be to create a look that would be best for an ad for a new contour palette. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait. I get really excited over the portfolio stuff because, we're artists. We like to create. So it's going to be there. All right, so we did a deliberate analysis, picking the choice of techniques based on the bone structure of your client. Next up is thoughtful correction. So write that down, thoughtful correction. Let me just make sure I haven't missed any questions because I just went on a rant. I don't see any question, Greg. Do you see any that I might have missed? I know this training is more on the let me tell you all the things as opposed to showing and talking. We'll have time for Q&A definitely throughout this week because we're going to do this a couple of times. Okay, so number 4 is thoughtful correction. And this you're going to talk about with your client, of course, because when it comes to thoughtful correction, you have to think about, do they need color correcting? Do they want to change their face shape? We don't always get the option to completely change the face shape, but with contouring and highlighting, you can adjust the face shape. You can make it look more angular. You can make it look more softer. There's a lot that you can do when it comes to contouring. So you have to talk about that with your client and see what their end goal is, what their end goal is. What are their desired results? And then it's you as the expert to make sure that you deliver on it. So thoughtful correction is just figuring out what their needs and desires are. Do they want their bone structure to be softer, more angular? Do they want to enhance their cheekbones? Do they want to pop their eye color? Do they want to focus on the lips? Do they have discoloration and they want that to be completely gone? Because sometimes even if a client has discoloration, they might not want you to color correct it completely. They might not want a full coverage foundation. And that's something that you have to consider because you don't want to go over the top. Even if your personal style is a full coverage makeup, your client might not want that. And they might say that. When I worked retail, people would come up to me all the time and be like, well, you look great, but I don't think I would pull that off. I don't think that would look so good on me. And that's fine. We all have our own, thought. I have yellow eyeshadow on right now. Like, that might not be for everybody. And the yellow eyeshadow is tearing. If you see me take a brush and do this, my eyes tear. It's the bane of my existence. And I'm just pushing the eyeshadow back into its place. Even if we ever go out in public, I do this. It's a pain in my butt. If anyone has any solutions, help me. I've tried it all. But yeah, so when you're doing makeup, it's not about you, it's about the client. Unless you're hiring that client because you're shooting content or you're doing a photo shoot. And if you're doing a photo shoot, which in M3, I teach you how to set up your own photo shoots to get the looks and images that you need for your portfolio, you then do whatever you want. And the artist doesn't really, or the model doesn't really have a say because you're hiring them. It's the same way when you get hired, you don't always have a say. If they're like, I want blue lipstick and green eyeshadow and all this jazz, and you're like, ooh, no, that's a little garish. I don't know. You got to do it anyways. So green and blue are good friends. Okay, so after thoughtful correction, number five is my favorite. And if you've ever taken any classes from me or any of my courses, I talk about this all the time. It is purposeful placement. So write that down. Number 5 is purposeful placement. This is so important. And it's one of my biggest pet peeves because you always see people on the internet, they just are going back and forth with their brushes. They're moving the product all over. They put stripes on their face and then they're blending it out with no rhyme or reason. They're just like, you blend. No, you don't just blend. Purposeful placement means that you're putting the product to achieve the correct makeup look that you've determined in analysis. So purposeful placement, you're not just going to put a green primer all over the face. You're only going to put the green primer where there's the redness. Same thing even with your oil controlling primers. You don't need to put an oil controlling primer across the whole face. Most people have combination skin. You're going to get really oily in your T-zone and then your cheeks might be dry where they start flaking and you're like, what's going on? This doesn't make sense. You're right. It doesn't always make sense. So instead, you're going to put the oil controlling primer down the center of your face and then you will use other products that are more hydrating for the areas that are dry. When you see makeup artists do makeup, the reason they use so many different products is because you're practicing this purposeful placement. And this is something that I want you to nail in your head. If you don't remember a lot of these, this is one that I really want you to remember because you're doing makeup with intention. To do clean makeup, this is what you think of. You think of, where does this product go? What am I trying to achieve? Even with doing a winged eyeliner, even with doing eyeliner underneath the eye. Like if you look at me here, I have white eyeliner and then I kept the darkness only on the outer corner. I didn't go all the way through because keeping the darkness on the outer corner and then having a dark eyeshadow up here helps to lift up my eye and it contrasts with the lighter color in the inner corner. And black and any dark colors are your most corrective colors. So now I'm able to get this lift even though my eyes are quite hooded because I've done brightness in here and darkness out here. So these are all things I want you to think of when you're doing makeup. And this is purposeful placement. I set the eyeshadow here with intention. I didn't move the dark color all the way over. All of this plays a part. Does anybody have any questions about anything so far? I don't see any questions on my end. Greg, do you see questions on your end? Greg is my business partner, guys. He's also, he makes our website. So our new website, if you go to M3 and see it, he made it. I just show up. I also help write the copy and stuff because it's the text and things, but he builds everything and he films all of our content. Okay, excellent. Well, I know there's a delay, so if questions do pop up and I see it, I will hopefully be mindful, or if Greg sees any questions, he can let me know too. So after 5 is also, I love all of these tenets. Every time I talk about something new, I'm like, oh, I love this. But the next one, number 6, is applied color theory. I love talking about color theory. One of the first artistry trainings we put in M3 was on color theory because it is so much fun. I struggle with blush placement on myself. I hear that blush is a thing that a lot of people do struggle with, and you have to kind of figure out what do you want to do with it. So when it comes to blush placement, you have to think like, do you want it to help contour your cheeks? Do you want it to help make your face look rounder? There's a lot of different ways that you can do with blush. And when we do our face shape training and we talk about contouring, I am going to talk about blush a little bit, and we'll definitely, in M3, we're going to talk about everything, and we're going to go deep dive into it all. Like, these are short trainings. M3 is, we're in it for the long haul, my friend. And if you're not a makeup artist, or you don't have a desire to become a makeup artist, but you do want to learn how to do your own makeup, please DM me because I have other courses that can help you do that are not a monthly membership. So definitely reach out to me because I'm sure I can help you. Jay Brandon said, color theory really sets you apart from the rest when you know how to make other colors pop. Exactly. And a lot of artists don't understand color theory. It's actually one of the hardest things to comprehend and remember. When I worked at Makeup Forever, we had a color theory training that was specific, or a color training workshop that was specifically for pro makeup artists. And it was our busiest class and our best-selling class because everybody wants it and you need that constant education. When it comes to color theory, you want to apply it to everything. And it's the only science makeup artists have. You use color theory when it comes to lipstick, when it comes to eyeshadow, when it comes to what colors you wear with your clothes, your hair, your undertones. It's everything. So applying color theory, it just helps creates a very harmonious look. And it helps dictate emotion and all that other good stuff. I saw some comments, so let me see. I have hooded eyes and it's hard to apply eyeshadow. I hear you, but it doesn't have to be. I actually have a whole eye makeup course called Love Your Lids that is for eye makeup. And it's for hooded eyes. And we do everything from natural makeup to dramatic to cut creases, all eyeliners. So just because you have hooded eyes doesn't mean you can't do makeup. You can do all the same makeup. And I'm just doing it for myself. Perfect, Catherine. I do have other courses too. This is my whole business is having an online courses. So I have everything. And then of course I post a ton of content as well. Okay. So applied color theory. You want to use color theory when it comes to picking out your eye makeup, because even if you're doing neutral colors, what's going to set you apart, let's say as a bridal makeup artist, is if you take neutral colors and you're looking at the undertones of those shadows and know that that can work with that client based on their eye color. So you might use different neutrals for green eyes versus brown eyes versus blue eyes, and etc. And I see Alice in Wonderland, you said the Terry Tomlinson color wheel has helped greatly. 100%. I love the Terry Tomlinson color wheel. It's a flesh tone color wheel and it helps you see undertones, helps you figure out your contour shades and your highlight shades. It's a must. I love it. Catherine, if you're just doing makeup on yourself, which course should you go for? So if you want to do more complexion, I have a course called Complexion Perfection that covers skincare, foundation, concealer, highlight, contour, bronzer, blush, face shapes, and it's custom and what you need to look for your specific skin type, skin tone, and everything. There's an ultimate product handbook that tells you what to use for your concerns. It's very in-depth. And then I also have an eye makeup course called Love Your Lids, which focuses on just eye makeup. I actually have, let me get this. I'll show you the Terry Tomlinson color wheel, because if you guys are pro makeup artists or even aspiring to be pro makeup artists, you should totally have this color wheel. This is the flesh tone color wheel that Alice in Wonderland, Psycholand, I think it was your whole name, said. You can get this on Terry Tomlinson's website, and it is only $13. You can also get it at any pro store. So,
why is it good?
I'm going to say that in a second. You can also get it at any pro store like Friends, Namie's, Nigel's, Alcone, but you can also just order it online. So, this is beneficial because it shows you undertones of all different skin tones. You have your light skin tones right here. These are your medium skin tones, and then your darkest skin tones are here. And then the primary colors are the undertones. And so when you use this, you can figure out what's the opposite colors that are going to complement them, what shades of contour you should use for each skin tone. It's a color wheel for makeup artists. It's amazing. It's one of my favorite tools. And when we do even if you take the complexion course to learn on your own, I talk about this there. And then in my color theory course that I just did for our M3 students, we included this color wheel as well because we made our own foundations. It's very fun. 60 and trying. You're doing, my friend. So like I was saying about the eye makeup, I know that a good makeup artist, a good bridal makeup artist is going to take neutral tones that are going to work for that client's undertone and eye color and hair color. It's not just going to be brown, because browns come in many different undertones. Even red lipstick, many different undertones. So it's never just that simple. So 6 was applied color theory. Number 7, also a good one. So get your pens and papers, those of you who are taking notes. Number 7 is deliberate texture. So what that means is deliberate texture is understanding what type of products you're going to put on the different parts of the face so you don't enhance texture, or maybe you want to create texture. And this can also be applied to when you're doing avant-garde makeup, and even doing eye makeup. You're not going to want to have just one texture of eyeshadow across the whole eyelid. You're not just going to use mattes because that's going to make a flat makeup. You're not going to use just shimmers because that's also going to make a flat makeup. Having different texture inside your makeup products is going to create a very balanced and defined look. So deliberate texture is the understanding of relationship between texture placement and intensifying its use to achieve a desired result. So certain things that have shimmer, obviously will highlight. It's golden. I'm sorry, not golden. It's highlighted, it's shimmery. It's going to enhance that area. Whereas matte is going to recede. So when you're doing eye makeup or even contour, you always usually put a matte eyeshadow color in the crease because you want to pull that area back. You're defining the eye. So even if you have hooded eyes, even if you're working with a client that has no eyelid or no crease and you're like, it's not there. It's there, my friend. And you can create it by using a matte tone eyeshadow that's almost just a little bit darker than the client's skin tone. That would be a good contour color. Definitely can go with that. Same thing, that's why with highlight and contour. When it comes to bronzer, everyone's always like, can you use bronzer to contour? It's an argument that's debatable, but yeah, I use bronzer to contour today. So you can use bronzer to contour, but it has to be matte. And a lot of bronzers tend to have some kind of shimmer in it. So if it has shimmer in it, you can't use it to contour because that goes against what you're trying to do. And shimmer is texture. So if you're contouring, you want it to be matte because you're pulling back. And if you want to bring something forward, then you want it to have a highlight. You can also highlight and shimmer, but you can have a highlight also just be matte using a lighter color. You also want to be aware with deliberate texture, the texture on your client's skin. Do they have pores? Do they have fine lines? Do they have any kind of scarring? Because the products you put on top of that can enhance it. So you don't want to put anything that has more texture on top of texture, because then that can be a hot mess. This is why I don't really like baking, especially on people who have fine lines and texture to their skin. Baking can actually enhance that texture because powder has a lot of texture to it and it can create more texture. So now we're going on to number 8, which is something that when it comes to beauty makeup or even avant-garde makeup, you want to consider. And number 8 is calculated contrast and scale. So I'm going to repeat that so you can write it down. Calculated contrast and scale. So what that means is the use of intensity. When it says contrast and scale, what's the size of the makeup and what's the situation? So let's say, for example, you are a theater makeup artist. When you do theater makeup, it is bold, it is dramatic, it is over the top because it has to be seen by the last person in the last row. So you're not going to do very soft makeup. Theater makeup is dramatic. Any type of performance makeup usually is more dramatic. There's more layers to it. It's bigger, it's bolder, it's darker, it's brighter. Anything that's going to help make it stand out because it has to be seen from very far away. But then when you're doing headshots or film makeup, or let me talk about film for a moment. This is a big thing if you're a special effects artist and you want to do movies, but you have a haunt background, meaning you worked at a haunted house. I've worked at haunted houses for many years. It's my busiest time of the year. The makeup that you do at a haunted house is very high contrast. You want things to be seen in dark lighting. And you could do a burn victim that looks completely different for a haunted house than a burn victim would look like in a movie. Because in a movie, it's close-ups and you're getting in onto the character. So you can't do such a big makeup because then it won't look realistic. Theater makeup doesn't always look realistic. Film makeup has to look realistic. And then when it comes to bridal and beauty makeup, when it comes to contrast and scale, you have to think about what's the whole makeup. So you've heard people say this, I'm sure. If you do dramatic eye makeup, you go with a softer lip or vice versa. And the same thing when you're doing a full face, like if somebody has bangs, if you have bangs, you have darkness right here. And then if you're dark right here, you might want to go lighter here, especially if you're going to wear a darker shirt. This is also preference. So like contrast and scale is something you can think of when a client has no idea what they want. But again, if you have a client who's like, I love a goth look, make me dark everywhere, do it. Or if you have a client that's like, I don't really like a lot of makeup, I'm nervous, but I know I need to get makeup done for photos, you're going to want to do less makeup and lighter makeup to make them feel comfortable. Still, that all is the contrast and scale. What are they going to be seen? Where are they taking photos? Because photos diminishes makeup. So when you're a bridal makeup artist, or you're doing anything that involves photos or video, and it's a personal service type of thing, like bridal, like proms, even headshots, you might be doing makeup and the client will look in the mirror and be like, oh my gosh, is it too much? Is this lipstick too dark? Is the blush too much? And what you have to let them know is that the camera sucks up some of the makeup. So when it comes to brides, especially, I've had this happen to me many a times. You have to go a little bit darker with the lip color. And it doesn't have to be black or red. It just has to be a deeper tone than their natural lips so they don't look washed out on camera. Same thing with adding more blush. Let me tell you, if you work in film, girls, you guys, you will never add enough blush because the camera eats up all the blush. It's okay to right now. That's why we have more contouring. But in general, when you're doing a natural look, like the blush gets away. And you have to look in the camera before you send your client away to make sure that you're doing a job and getting the look that they all want. And usually when it comes to brides or personal services, once you take a picture of them and show them how they look on camera, they back down. They're like, oh, okay, you were right. Just be patient. Never catch an attitude. Be patient with them and let them know. Number 9. Number 9 is helpful for everyone, whether you're going to do makeup on someone else or yourself. Number 9 is you're going to apply your shadows from light to dark, and you're going to blend your dark into your light. Now, I will say the more you do makeup, you might break this rule a little bit. I know I definitely break it the more I apply stuff. So definitely, every rule is meant to be broken. In fact, Danny Sands, who's the owner of Makeup Forever, she used to say that you learn the rules and then you break the rules. And because you can pretty much do everything with makeup, right? There's lots of different ways you can get to a finished result. But these tenets that I'm giving you, I want you to just follow so it helps you if you are stuck and you're like, how should I do this person's makeup? What's the order? Like, what should I go through? So applying light to dark and blending dark into light is you're going to apply your light shade on your eyelid. And then you're going to take your darker shade. I don't have the brush, but you're going to take your darker shade and apply to the outer corner. And then you're going to blend your dark into your light. And this helps you create a little bit more of a harmonious color, because if you try to put light on top of dark, it can sometimes look ashy and manipulate the color too much, and you don't get a clean makeup. So because we're dealing with harmony, that's why we're doing it this way. You apply light and then blend your dark. And a lot of times people start with their darker colors and they will layer a lighter color on top of it. I see everyone do it on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, where they'll do a dark color in the crease and then a color that's a little bit lighter and do these little circles to blend it out. That is a way, but it also can take you longer to do that. And so when we're doing makeup as a pro, sometimes we don't have time on our side. We have to get the makeup done quickly. So you do a light color, a medium color, add a dark color, and then take a clean brush to keep the application clean, and you'll do some slight blending to help bring it all together. And also when you're applying light to dark and blending your dark into light, this is also going to go into number 10, you're applying fundamental sculpting techniques. And sculpting is not just contouring. Sculpting is sculpting the whole face. You sculpt the eye, you sculpt the lip, you sculpt the nose, you sculpt the chin. That's what contouring is to a pro. At least when I think of contouring, I don't just think of the cheeks. I'm thinking of how am I defining the whole bone structure? What are we trying to bring forward? What are we popping? How defined do you want to be? And then we sculpt the face. And a lot of times when you're doing natural makeup, you're going to focus a little bit more on sculpting than anything else, because you can do eye makeup with all skin tone colors. You can contour the eye with highlight, contour, and even blush shades. It's one of my favorite things to do. Oh, Catherine, good. I'm so glad that you're finding value in this. I'm so happy to hear that. Okay, so number 10, which is our last tenet. So if you have questions, get them ready because we'll go into questions after this. Purposeful blending. Number 10 is purposeful blending. So write that down. Also one of my favorites. And purposeful blending is the motions that you're blending in. And so one thing that I actually made a video about this, one of my first videos when I started creating content on TikTok, was an unpopular opinion is that I hate the windshield wiper. And the windshield wiper, if you don't know, is when people take a color and go back and forth like this in their crease. And this works. Like, obviously we see it can work. This will be saved to my Instagram, yes, so you'll be able to watch a replay after. So you go back and forth like this, and the windshield wiper can work. But here's another thing. The windshield wiper doesn't create depth. It's one big dark line the whole way through. And depending on your eye shape, that might not work for you. Makeup is definitely the one size fits all, and I've been saying this all week, but the products and the techniques you use are not a one size fits all. So when I teach, I try to teach the techniques that can help everybody. Because when I'm teaching pro makeup artists, you have to know the techniques that can work for everyone. You can't just know the trends because the trends don't work for all. And I know from my, oh, hey, Kira, thank you. And I know from working with clients and working even in retail makeup, people would come in and be like, I try all these trends and nothing works for me. I just suck at doing makeup. You don't suck at doing makeup. You're just following something that's not working for you. And a lot of influencers, as much as I like a lot of them, they don't know anything else but the trends because they're copying each other. They don't have the formal training that a makeup artist can have. So that's why if you are trying to become a pro makeup artist, or even if you're trying to become an influencer, I encourage you to check out M3, because M3 is going to teach you the technique so you can speak to everyone. So even as an influencer, you can deliver education to your audience that's going to help them all. Because if you're just copying what everyone else is doing, people are not getting the results. So Catherine says, you hate the windshield wiper? Yeah, the windshield wiper gets messy. And here's another thing. When you're going back down this way, you're pulling the eye down. This is going to create more fallout, and your eyeshadow will create a puddle right here, and then you have to clean up. It's too messy. So when we talk about purposeful blending, I always talk about a one-directional blend. And if you take any of my eye makeup courses, or even my complexion courses, I always talk about one-directional blend, because that's the purposeful blending that I want you to think of. So instead of the windshield wiper, I will take my brush, and I'll put it on the outer corner of my eye, and then I blend up towards the center, pick up my hand, and go back to the outer corner and repeat. So it's one-directional blending, not going back and forth. Because where you first put your brush down, that's your point of intensity. So you want to put your brush there, and then move it on over, lift, and repeat. Not go back and forth, because then you're not going to have a beautiful smooth blend that allows movement and a harmonious look to your makeup. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Bless you. Your tips are awesome. Oh, Kara, you're the best too. All right, guys. So those were the 10 tenets of technique. I have to pop off to go on to TikTok because we're repeating this training there. So if you have any last minute questions, please let me know. I'll stay on for another minute, another 2 minutes or so, and answer questions. I know there's a little bit of a delay. So in the meantime, I do also encourage you to check out my makeup and marketing mentorship program so I can be your makeup mentor. The link is pinned and it's also in my bio. And that is a monthly membership program to help you skyrocket your makeup career as a makeup artist, influencer, beauty esthetician, beauty boss, whatever you're doing in your business makeup career. I'm here for that. Jake says he's here for you, Greg, in the chat. And then if you're not wanting to become a pro makeup artist and you really want to learn how to master your own makeup, DM me so I can send you the links to my other courses that'll benefit you learning to do your own makeup, because I have all of that. Teaching is my favorite thing to do, guys. When you apply from out to in, do you do circular motions? Great question. So you can. And sometimes I do. So it depends on where I'm doing in the eye. So for example, like this light color that I have here, I just did the one case, I just did the one right over, just one big blend. Then when I did my darker color, I did do little circles because I wanted it to be more concentrated in the outer corner. So I used a smaller brush and went in with a little bit more concentration. So that's the most important, like where you're placing your product, you're going to do different motions and different blending. And in all of my courses, I teach all of this because it's important to know. It's not just applying. You have to know the techniques of blending. Do I have a class that's for film and TV makeup? So inside M3, we talk about film and TV makeup. It's not separate. So M3 is for all makeup artists, whether it's bridal, film, influencer, regardless. And I talk about each one of those within the trainings to cover it. Most of my background is in film and TV, so I tend to always talk about that first. And then I include bridal because most makeup artists start in bridal. And a lot of them coincide, because when you're doing bridal makeup, they're taking photos and they're taking video. And the same thing with film and TV. I mean, that's a whole ballgame of just camera makeup. So we definitely talk about that a lot. And that's why M3 is so valuable, because it covers everything. It's basically even a pickup if you finish school. You come into M3, so you have continuous guidance. And M3 does, you can just pay monthly. So if you're not having a good time, you can cancel, but I think you're going to have a good time. Or you can pay yearly. And if you pay yearly into M3, you save 2 months. You get 2 months for free. And you have a one-on-one strategy call with me for 90 minutes where we help plan your whole career. We can strategize. We can do a look together. We can go through your kit, audit your website, go through your content, whatever you want. It's 90 minutes that you get me for, and we'll talk about what's best for you after. Or we'll talk about what you want to do during the training before it starts. All right. Does anyone else have any last minute questions? Tomorrow we'll be live again, but at a different time because it's Saturday. Tomorrow's live will be at 1 p.m. Pacific time here on Instagram, and it'll be working with different skin types and tones. And so that'll benefit everybody because you got to do things differently for each person. So we're going to talk about the different skin types and the different skin tones and what kind of products you should look for. Okay, I'm going to take a sip while I wait for any last minute things. Thank you guys for joining and listening to me. I hope you found value in this. Thank you. We'll get saved. Thank you. Thank you, Art. Fenghua Art. I don't know what's your name, so thank you, though. All right, my friends, I hope you have a wonderful Friday. If you are in California, stay dry, stay warm. And if you're in any other part that's dealing with some crazy cold weather or whichever, just stay safe. I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.